Hey everybody, Dr. Ben Atkins here. If you can hear my voice coming through loud and clear, do me a favor and jump into that chat and say hello. Let me know that you're here. You can hear me and that you're having a good day so far. I hope that everybody on the call today is having a great day wherever you happen to be. Um, yeah, I'm excited for today and to dive in and talk about a topic that I think is one of the more important topics for anybody that happens to own a digital agency for sure, but really anybody that owns a business that's servicing any sort of customer. I think this is one of those topics that's extremely, extremely important for people to really realize. Listen, I want to know, what is the temperature like where you are at? Let me know, and let me know what the weather is like. It's funny how the weather affects, business and people buying from you and all of those good things. So, listen, I am extremely excited to be here with you today for a very special Clipcast call. I love doing these calls. I love Clipcast. I love what we're doing with Clipcast. I'm just going to be completely upfront with you guys. I have a lot of behind the scenes things going on with Clipcast and my agency. And it's a big, big part of what we are doing. And so getting to come in here and talk to you guys about, all the fun things that we're doing and all the fun things that we've got planned is always a great time. Now, we're going to get right into it today because I know you guys are busy. Everybody's got a lot going on. So I'm going to be super respectful of your time today. And we're going to get into our topic, which is chambers of commerce. Now, the idea behind this is what you can do with chambers. Now, complete disclaimer up front. We are not partnered with this particular chamber. The example today is a real chamber of commerce. We're not partnered with this chamber. This was just one picked at random for the example. We try to do our best to show you a picture of what we are doing, but I am very, very big, to the frustration of a lot of people. I understand. I am very, very big on keeping our clients private. And like I said, I know that's frustrating sometimes, but it way back when I started doing this over a decade ago, it was very frustrating to our actual agency clients when we would reveal too much about them. So as usual, what you were getting is a image of what we are actually doing with the client, but a little bit mask from the actual real client. So full disclaimer, this is not the Marion Chamber of Commerce here from Marion, Iowa, is not an actual client. We just decided to use them for example. Give me a number one in the box if that makes sense. And if you're watching a replay later, I just wanted to make sure we got that out of the way before we started, just so that you guys knew. And nobody calls the Marion Chamber. People always do that, and I don't know why. I don't think any of you here will do that, but with the replay being up on YouTube, you never know. Let's get into it. Let's talk about this today, what we're doing with chambers of commerce and why this is so important. The reason I love the whole concept here is because I was very, very big on the whole working with chambers when I had a brick and mortar business. Let me just take a quick poll here and ask you guys, how many of you are working with chambers of commerce here, and or you've worked with a chamber of commerce in the past? Give me a yes if you've worked with a chamber of commerce in the past and it's something that you're familiar with. If you're not familiar, be like, no, not yet, or just give me a yes or no, and it's just so I kind of know where you guys stand. Yeah, let me know. So, and like I said, I just asked this because if you have, there are some things, and if you have not, then there's some other things that you know. Okay, so there's yeses and there's a lot of nos in here. I would say that there's more no's right now than there are yeses, but like I said, that's okay either way. What I want you guys to understand about working with the chamber is, in my opinion, working with a chamber of commerce is one of the best investments that you can make in terms of joining a chamber. It's one of the best investments you can make as a business. Now, I have also heard from the other side of things that, oh, joining the chamber was a waste of my money and, I didn't get anything out of it. Well, listen, let me tell you this. From a small business standpoint, if you join a chamber and you never do anything with the chamber, it's a waste of money. if you join the chamber and you participate in a chamber of commerce, it's absolutely one of the best investments that you'll ever make. And I believe that across the board. I don't think that I was, I don't think the chambers that I've been a part of, and I've been a part of a few chambers so far, I don't believe that the chambers I've been a part of were isolated cases. I think that most chambers, the way they run, if you participate in them, you can get a lot out of it. Now, here's the thing. What is a chamber of commerce supposed to do? A chamber of commerce is supposed to be a place where businesses join and they put in money, they put in dues, and the chambers use those dues to put on events, do all kinds of fun things to strengthen the business community. Okay, this means that not only are they bringing in good ideas and ways to market and marketing opportunities for the business, but they are also a source of protection for businesses. Anytime that we had people passing bad checks in a community or, doing things that were fraudulent in the community, the chamber was one of the first organizations to jump on top of that and to send out the alert. Obviously, these are matters for the police, but the chamber was the place that was like letting everybody know, hey, watch your back on this. And so the Chamber of Commerce to me is one of the greatest resources for any local community if you want to actually grow a business, because they're the ones that are organizing things for businesses to come up with. Now, here's the thing that where we come in today. Okay. The thing where we come in today is this: with a chamber of commerce, they are super busy. Super busy. And the reason they're super busy is because day in and day out, they are dealing, they are dealing with their members. They're dealing with phone calls, they're dealing with walk-ins, they are dealing with all kinds of things that are just, hey, your day-to-day stuff. Plus, they're dealing with new projects where they're trying to put things together, whether it's an event, whether it's, a ribbon cutting. There's lots of things that are happening in a chamber that keep them busy. Now, I will say this: one of the greatest assets that a chamber can have, if they can put it together, is some sort of podcast. Okay, now a podcast is one of those things that just fits a chamber like a glove. Give me a number one in the box if you agree with that. A podcast fits a chamber like a glove because of just the style of what it is. It's something that is listenable, meaning you can put it on in the gym, you can put it on in the car, you can put it on without having to be like completely locked in with it. It can be sort of a background thing, but it's a way for the chamber to get its message out there. It's a way for the chamber to teach people about marketing. It's a way to the chamber to teach people about business. The problem here is that most of the chambers on the planet have no time or the technical expertise built in-house to do a podcast over and over. Now, here's the other thing. I will say this. I have been a part of a lot of podcasts that are not put on by chambers, but are the style that a chamber should do, which is, kind of just this business advice type stuff, especially business advice type stuff as it, is to the local state and the local city. The thing is the mistake that I have seen over and over with a lot of these business podcasts is they're too long. Give me a big number two in the box if you agree with that. A lot of these business podcasts are far too long. And what I mean by this is the kinds of people that listen to business podcasts are not the kind of people that want to spend hours listening to business podcasts. Now, there's some exceptions to the rule for sure, but a lot of people that are brick and mortar business owners, I'm not talking about entrepreneurs that work from home like me. I've been working at home for a very long time at this point, or working from a backpack, working on the road, things like that. I've been working in a very portable way for a long time. But before that, I was a brick and mortar business owner, and I had to go in and work with the public. And there was not a lot of time to invest in this kind of stuff, which is listening to things to help me grow. But if you can put together between a 5-minute and a 15-minute podcast that gets out great information that can help people grow fast, and they can get like little bite-sized nuggets about things, that's when this gets really, really interesting. And so the thing that I want to make sure that we get out there to you guys today is this: the style of podcast that we are going to do for these Chamber of Commerces should be short and sweet. It should be as locally focused as possible. But more than anything with the Chamber of Commerce, The podcast should be focused on business growth advice and taxes, like how to save on taxes in a local environment, things like that. It should be very locally focused. There should be things about it that, relate to the local community. But overall, we're still talking about very smart marketing knowledge, business growth knowledge. Give me a big yes in the box if this makes sense to you. We're not going so far out of the way with this that we get stuck in, okay, what's going on at the town hall today? we don't need, what are the police doing this week? Like, we don't need any of that stuff that's like so hyper local. We're still focused on general marketing information, but it's got to have a local flavor to it. And so that's what we're going to go through today, is the style of what you should be putting together. And so the first thing I want to do is pull up my screen for you guys. I want to make sure we pull up my screen for you guys so you can see it. As soon as you guys can see my screen, let me know. I'm going to pull it up right now, and I'm going to make myself the presenter. Let me know when you can see it. Can you see the screen with Clipcast on it? Good, not just like a GoToWebinar browser window. Okay, good. So now we've got it on the screen, and what you're seeing inside of Clipcast is the podcast, and this is the Marion, Iowa Business Growth Podcast. Now, this is not live up on iTunes yet or anything like that. This is something that, like I said, this is brand new. I put this together in this whole podcast, the cover image, as well as the 3 episodes that you see here, and the intro and outro. All of that was done in about an hour. Now, I'll just say this. The hardest part of this whole thing was the cover image and the intro outro. Like that took the longest. Clipcast, actually writing the podcast and doing those things, that was, all 3 of these episodes took me under 10 minutes. I got it. Each episode was probably 3 minutes to put together tops. And so very, very quick with what we did here. But what I would like to do is I would like to actually show you what this podcast consists of. And so I'm going to go out of that screen. I'm going to go back to this where you can see the settings. Give me a yes when you can see the settings on your screen, so I know that that's in front of you. I'm going to zoom a little bit here so you guys can see this. Let me know with the number 1 in the box if you can see this, and you can kind of see what we're doing. So when you're setting up a brand new podcast, this is it. Like if you go up to the top of the screen and you click the create new podcast, these are the details that it's going to ask you for. So first thing, the podcast host is one of my tried and true podcast hosts, which is Chad Elder. I use Chad in lots of different things. I like Chad's voice. I like kind of the way he flows with things. Chad was the perfect fit for this. And when you guys listen to this in the example, by the way, just for those of you that forget, every single week when we do these, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this on our YouTube channel later, every single week we put a complete walkthrough of this stuff. And you guys can kind of see that. So it's going to be on the blog, and you guys are going to see that, and we're going to be good to go with that. Now, from there, we've got a couple things going on here. Our host is Chad Elder. The email that we did for this podcast is me. That's my email. I'm putting my email address up there so that I can follow what I need to follow as we are going through that. Now, from there, here's what we've got. Host expertise. Chad is an expert at helping small businesses grow by leveraging their local chamber of commerce. Give me a yes if you are locked in on that. Like right from the beginning with host expertise, we are flavoring this a little bit to where it is locked in on chamber of commerce stuff. Now, it's nothing about the Marion, Iowa Chamber of Commerce yet. It's just the host is an expert at helping businesses grow by leveraging their local chamber. So right out of the gate, we're telling the AI, this is a chamber flavored sort of thing. Now, the next thing is the host goal for the podcast. What are the host's goals? To help small business owners in Marion, Iowa to thrive and grow with business and marketing tips. Okay, so we start to give it a Marion, Iowa flavor here. So whatever city you happen to be working in or with, this is the idea. Now, host personal brand or personal or business brand. You don't have to fill this out, but this is what I did. Chad is a business owner and advocate for the Marion, Iowa Chamber of Commerce and larger business community. I even spelled community wrong, so no worries there. So we've got that. And from there, the host location is Marion, Iowa. Give me a yes if you've got this down so far. I know a lot of you like to take screenshots of this stuff so you don't have to wait on the replay. But just give me a yes or number 1 if you're locked in on this. You understand what we're doing. There's nothing complicated about this. All I'm doing is I'm giving the Clipcast.ai a chance to get the flavor of this right. Okay. But I need everybody to understand this is still going to be a business and marketing podcast. Period. Nothing too crazy about what we're doing. All of you, as you've used Clipcast in the past, or all of you thinking about using Clipcast, if you've built a marketing podcast for yourself, this is still very similar. So from there, we go to podcast details. No explicit content. We put this into the business category. Now, the podcast topic: helping Marion, Iowa businesses, business owners grow and thrive with helpful business and marketing tips. The target audience: business owners in the Marion, Iowa area. Tone: professional but friendly. Unique element: the podcast focuses exclusively on helping business owners thrive in the Marion, Iowa business community. So far, so good. Give me a yes if so. Give me a yes if so. Here's the thing this is a great question coming from Rob. And Rob says, hey, Bim, why would I choose to build a city or county level podcast? Is it a population number thing? This is a great question. And it's a question that I think a lot of people probably have, Rob. And I'm glad you asked it. Rob, what I do with this is I look at how the chamber focuses. So if you go look at the Chamber of Commerce and kind of how they're structured, sometimes you will have a city-based chamber, sometimes you will have a county level-based chamber. Look at what they are doing, and you can kind of tailor your podcast to fit sort of how they're doing it. Because remember, they're going to be the experts at this. They're going to be the experts at how they should aim. So kind of look at that and aim that way. And that's just an easy way to do it. No problem. That's such a great question, by the way, and one that a lot of people that are thinking about doing this with chambers should ask. So does the AI do anything with local information to pull in any comments about the local area? Well, you'll see kind of what it does in just a second when I get to it. But that's a great question too, Don. That's an excellent question. It depends on what we can find in the area. So I'm going to tell you this. A lot of the larger cities, you're going to pull, different things with it when you're at local cities, because remember, the AI is going to go looking for a lot of different things to do this. Here's a great question from Jack. Jack, is it required to be a chamber member to offer a podcast to a chamber? No, it's not. Here's what you're going to find. And this is just from personal experience with being a part of chambers for a long time. Some chambers don't care. Some chambers don't care. You put a cool service in front of them like this, and they are going to absolutely love it. Some chambers are going to want you to do it. They're going to want you to pay to be a member if you're going to do this. But here's the other thing that I like to do. Everybody ready for this? This is sort of the golden tip here. The golden tip here that I think is incredibly important. Here's what I like to do with certain chambers. I really, and this is the trick. This is the thing that's going to get you a ton of business if you listen to this. What I really like to do is I like to go pitch a chamber on running their podcast with this. And when I run the podcast and produce the podcast for them, what I like to do is say, hey, and normally this is a $500 to $1,000 a month thing for us to do, but we want to run the chamber podcast for you guys. And all we want in return is to be a member of your Chamber of Commerce. We want to do a trade out. We would love to be a member because we believe in the community. We would love to be a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Now, some of you are like, well, where do we make the money from this, right? if we're just doing a trade out for doing the podcast for free for the chamber, where do we make money doing this? Now, like I said, you can go a completely different route than I do with this, but I want to tell you what I do, okay? I want to tell you what I do. So here's what I like to do is a grand scheme of things sort of strategy. When we're doing a podcast for a chamber, I want to show the Chamber of Commerce that I want to be a part of their community. Give me a yes if this makes sense. So by showing them that I don't want payment for this, that I just want to be a member of their Chamber of Commerce, what I am effectively telling them is I want to be a part of your business community. Now, here's where things get really, really interesting. What do you think happens after I am the official podcaster for the Chamber of Commerce, or the official producer of the podcast for the Chamber of Commerce? What do you think I do immediately after in that community once we have secured that deal? Okay, I'm trading it out. I'm not making any money from doing the chamber podcast, but here's what I'm doing. What I'm doing after that is I'm picking up the phone. And I am calling businesses that fit into my niche in that area. And I am telling them, hey, my name is Ben Atkins. I am the producer. I am the producer of the podcast, the Chamber of Commerce podcast here in Marion, Iowa. And what I would love to talk to you about is how we can help your business grow with the podcast. What have I established if I am rocking this out and I'm calling members of the Chamber of Commerce? I am also a member and I am the person that is producing the Chamber's podcast. What have I just done in one swoop when I make that phone call and say that? And this is one of the most powerful things you can do. You are establishing yourself as leadership in the community. You are establishing your authority right away. And you are basically borrowing some credibility from the Chamber of Commerce. The Chamber of Commerce approved you to do their podcast. Well, now you have credibility with all the Chamber members. And so you call them up and say, hey, we would love to do a podcast for you too. And I'd love to talk to you about how that works. You have an in, you have a way to talk. Now I'm going to just let's real world this, because I don't want to act like this is all, rainbows and butterflies. I don't always get to talk to the person that I used that pitch with the first time that I talked to them, because businesses are busy. I like to call, kind of mid-morning with these kinds of things when I do it, but we don't always get to talk to them right away because sometimes they're busy. But I will tell you this, because I am part of the Chamber, an organization that they are part of too, I get a follow-up call almost all of the time. Now, I do want to bring up an important point here, because not everybody is familiar with working with chambers of commerce and things like that. And so I want to make sure that everybody here understands some key things about the Chamber of Commerce and kind of what you can do when you're working with a Chamber of Commerce here. I'm going to pull this up right now. Can you guys see this page right here? Give me a yes if you can see this page. You guys see this? So I'm going to go back to so this is the Marion Chamber of Commerce page. If you look, and by the way, this is the same just about for every Chamber of Commerce across the board that you're going to go to. There's going to be a directory. You can click on the directory and it's going to open up something like this. They're different in different spots, but they're going to open up stuff like this. And I mean, like, you guys, like, they even mark their new members here, which is incredibly useful, because I can call and say, hey, I realize you guys just became a Chamber member recently, and we'd love to talk to you about some stuff. But you can go in and you can click in retail. You can go down the list, and they've got their members listed for you. They've got their members listed for you, you guys. And, you can get a lot of information right away just by looking at things like this and kind of going through what they do. Now, here's the thing. Do they typically add their podcast to their main page menu? Some do, some don't. Some do, some don't. The ones that don't are definitely adding it to their social media, though. So if it's not something that's listed on their website, and the only time that they don't list it on their website, by the way, is typically when they don't have a lot of control over their own websites. And sometimes that happens. It's weird. Most of the time they do, though, because they have it. But pretty much all of them are adding it to their social media. So every time you publish a podcast, they're putting it out as content for their social media. And so that's the idea behind that. Now, getting back into this, I want to talk about this. So, we get back into this podcast and we go into what it is. I want to kind of give you an idea of what this looks like. So first episode that we published was leveraging local partnerships, collaborate for success in Marion. The second one, successful networking, building meaningful connections in Marion's business community. The next one, digital marketing strategies for local businesses, navigating the online landscape in Marion. I didn't come up with any of these. Once I gave the AI instructions, the AI came up with these. The AI came up with this description here. The only other thing that I would do with this description that the AI came up with is I would make sure that I do this. And I like to do this for all of my podcast, which is for more info or to join the Marion, Iowa Chamber, visit us here. And then we have the URL that we've got there. And so we would save that. Does that make sense to everybody? This is the AI description pretty much to a T. but I always like to add this down in our master description so that people can actually, understand what we're doing here. And we've got this. Now, episode creation's easy. I like to do this. I go into episode creation, I go to individual style, and what I'm looking for is something that's a good title here. Uh, Harnessing social media to boost your brand and Miriam. Financial literacy for small business owners, essential tips for success. I would edit this to have something about Marion in it. Navigating the challenges of small business ownership, stories and solutions for Marion entrepreneurs. So you can get in this and like you can do lots of different things here, but like let's just say harnessing social media is where we're going to go, right? So we're going into harnessing social media. It's giving us a description here. We're going to choose that, and then we are going to submit this. And this is just getting into social media and how to like use it. Like I said, this is just a business marketing podcast, right? Just a business marketing podcast. And so I'm going to set my host. I'm going to set my time. I'm going to set my tone is dynamic and excited. And we're going to save this episode. Once we save this episode, like I said, you want to go over your key points to cover here. But once we save this episode, we're going to go ahead and generate the script. I'm not going to make you guys watch the script get generated here, but that it's going to start generating this script for me. And as soon as the script is generated, I'm going to be able to come back into this and rock this out. The idea, though, here, guys, is this is something that you guys have that is very, very easy for us to go in. This is, by the way, I want to bring this up while that's generating so we don't have to just sit and watch that generate. Let's talk about the podcast cover. This is just a template that I've got for each and every one of my Clipcasters. If you were on this call today, as a reward for coming in live today, you guys are getting this template for free. This is a Canva template. I will make sure that you guys have this right stinking now. We're gonna publish this template for you guys, and I'm going to put it into our chat. So give me a yes if you're ready for that, and I will paste that link in our chat just so that you all have that link. So if you show up to our live calls every Wednesday, you get you get bonuses, and so this is one of them. So one of the things that we're doing here is number one, we're putting our host picture here. This is just a stock photo. Obviously, this is not if you had a voice clone, because obviously you can clone voices in Clipcast if you have like the head of the chamber. And this is something that you can put their picture in here. You can put their name in here. You put their logo here. We just pulled that logo right off the website. And then, you just kind of call the podcast, whatever you want to call the podcast up here. I will say this picture back here, if everybody can see this picture back here, is a picture of Marion. And I'm just moving an overlay that I have. And all you would have to do is just drag your photo from your photo section into that, and then drag this back over the top so that you've got that over the top there. But that is the majority of what we are doing here, you guys. The vast majority of what we are doing here is putting this together in a way where we've got this. Now, just to hop back over here, you guys can see that our podcast the script has been generated. Everybody see the script here? So right now we've got our script. We're going to go ahead and on this script, obviously we'd be going through the script, but we're going to click process. Now we've got this episode processing. We've got the intro and outro that we had already uploaded. So the intro and outro will automatically be put on top of this podcast that the AI is generating. So a couple things. We've got our cover that we just talked about that I'm giving you guys the Canva template for. You can, upload anything you want. Canva has some great podcasting templates if you want to build your own too. We've got an intro and outro that we put together that's got a little music in the back and, a voiceover. And then we've got the AI that is doing both the writing of the episode, concept, but also the writing of the episode script. And it is also in turn voicing the podcast episode, so that we've got this in just a couple minutes. This is going to be processed, and we're going to have a brand new episode that we can publish live to put online for our podcast. And if we don't want to publish it online, then you can wait and we can publish it coming up. So that's the concept of this. As I said, my sales pitch when I go to a chamber is typically not, hey, would you like to pay for this? That's they are my portal of entry to their members. So my sales pitch for a lot of these chambers is just, hey, we would love to be a part of the chamber. We love this community, and what we would love to do is we would love to run the weekly podcast for you guys, build it out. We can build you guys out some examples of what it would be. We would love to run the weekly podcast in exchange. It's normally a $500 to $1,000 a month thing, but we'll do it for free if we can just become a chamber member and our dues are paid because we're the ones doing the podcast for you guys. And of course, you guys get approval on all of that stuff. but we just want to contribute to the community. We want to contribute to what your mission is of the chamber, and we would love to do the chamber podcast. Um, you know, and make sure that that's our contribution to the business community here and to the Chamber of Commerce. That's it. That will get you the business. If you run into a chamber that is like most chambers I've run into, which is they are trying to grow, they are trying to do more things, they are trying to embrace technology, they are trying to embrace marketing methods. That's the idea. So, I've gone through my spill of what this is. Like I said, we'll have a case study post up in about 24 hours. But I want your questions. What are your questions? Put your questions in there. Let me know. You can see that the podcast episode is generated now, so that was pretty quick. But what are your questions? Type QQQ and put your questions in the box, and I'll walk through what we've got here. So let's see. Does the tone in the podcast episode setup, in this case, dynamic and excited, override the tone setup that you entered in the podcast show, professional friendly? It's kind of a mix. But you're going to get kind of a mix between those two things. So that's a great question. Mark says, is Chad Elder a real person? You have a profile photo of him on the Canva graphics. How do you explain that if he's not real? Nobody really ever asked. I just say he's somebody that works in our team. Chad Elder's not a real person, but Chad Elder is someone that works in our team. Does that make sense? I know that's kind of one of those things that, is weird to think about. Chad's not a real person, but Chad is a part of our team. And I'll say this, Chad's a part of our team because Chad is the voice for like 4 of our podcasts. And so that's the idea. I've not ever had anybody that really wanted to meet Chad. That's never come up. But I will say this, with a lot of these Chamber of Commerces, you guys, they'll want to clone the voice of somebody. Or on top of that, you can clone your own voice and do your podcast with your own clone voice. So now that you can relate it to an actual person, an actual voice, if that's something that you would feel more comfortable with doing. It's a comfort level for you. Give me a yes if that makes sense. It's a comfort level for you. And I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to judge anybody on how you want to do this. Do you remember which clone voice became Chad? I do not. I would have to go back and look. It's been a long time since Chad came into being. It's been several months now. I'd have to go look, but it is one of the voices that is available in the Clipcast library. So you guys can just go into the library, and I'm sure doing a little digging, you guys could go find that and find Chad's voice. And there's so many good voices in the Clipcast library, even if you're not cloning a voice. But yeah, that's a fun way to do it. By the way, just as a little upgrade for you guys, I have a new update. Katie and I have been so hard at work together on this. We have worked our butts off on this. We have an update to the clone voice stuff that is going to get you guys even more accurate results when cloning voices. So I've got a new procedure that we're going to be going through in the next couple of weeks with you guys. That's going to get you even more accurate clone voices when you're working with people. And it's like right now we're using a script, and that script will get you pretty close. But we've been working on a new technique for, getting audio that'll get you an even better clone voice. And so we're working on that procedure right now. I wanted to make sure that you guys do that. We're also working on lots of new features in Clipcast that are this close. They're this close to coming. A lot of what we've been focused on with our developers so far, though, is helping you guys with some of the things that you have been sending to us. So just letting you guys know on that. But we got things coming. Just know it is coming very, very soon with some of those updates. But also that script update is going to be here very fast. Let's see here. Do you have a written pitch script to offer a free podcast for Chamber? I don't have anything written down, Jack, because I just literally call up and say what I said earlier. It's not a very long thing. I'm typically just calling up and say, hey, we're a big supporter of the Chamber here in Marion, Iowa, and I would love to do something to contribute. I am a podcasting expert. I would love to do the Marion podcast focused on business and, marketing in the Marion area, something that's aimed at the small businesses that are a part of the Chamber. Could we send you in a sample of the podcast that we're going to do? And if you guys like it and want to make it your official podcast, then we would love to do it for free. We normally do it for $500 to $1,000 a month for our clients, but we would do it for free if we could just, become a chamber member and our dues be paid so that we could be an even bigger part of the chamber and community. Can I send you the sample? That's my pitch, Jack. Does that make sense, buddy? So I'm sure somebody could turn that into text, but that is pretty much what I am doing, my friend, and that typically gets us exactly what we need to do. A lot of they want to hear a sample. They want to hear a sample, but once we send in the sample, and that's an episode or two, they have an idea of what we're doing. And with Clipcast, you guys can create those samples very, very quickly. Let's see. Will they ask for an example of a chamber podcast before they approve my comp request? Sure. You can send them to this podcast if you wanted to, or you can create your own podcast that's sort of your example. If you're going in and you're trying to do the chamber thing, my advice for you is to build yourself an example that is yours. Like I said, you guys are more than welcome to use this podcast. I will get it up on iTunes soon. Or you can just take them to the post, or you can take them to the audio. But I will try to get you guys something that you can send in, and we will make sure we get that in there as a part of it. So that's that. Let's see what else we got. Questions wise, Mark, this is perfect for chamber member sponsors in many of the episodes too. Yeah, here's the deal. You want to make some extra money off this, you have to have chamber approval. If they gave you a free thing, though, you can get businesses to sponsor this. You absolutely can do that. Or if you want to get really in the good graces of the chamber, offer them to pick the sponsor for every single episode every single week, and then you can put in that, and they really love that. They love if they get to pick a member to put into the episode every week. That's going to get them to fall even more in love with it. So that way we're not charging those folks. But I guarantee you we're calling the folks. Hey, just saw that you were your sponsor for our chamber podcast. I'd love to talk to you about doing a podcast for you. So let the chamber pick the sponsor every week from their membership, and then call that member and talk to them about them becoming a client too. Does that make sense? Give me a yes if so. Yeah, you could do a chamber member spotlight every week. You guys get the idea. Another benefit, let's see, Donna says, another benefit for the chamber might be for them to a sponsorship in the podcast. Yep. Okay. Everybody's got the same idea, and I absolutely love that. And just one of those things that I didn't cover so far, but that's great. That's exactly where your head should be at with this. Let's see here. Mark, where are you on the creation of the intro and outro without having to pay for it? The intro and outro, you mean like putting it together, an intro and outro, without having to pay for it? I'll tell you what I like to do. Like we're working on a couple things in the back end to maybe help you with that. But I've got a couple things that I do where I just have certain people read into a microphone. Like I send them a script, they read it into a microphone, then I just put it with audio. Does that make sense? So what I'm doing, Mark, is I'm opening up a piece of software, and I'm grabbing some music, and now I have to pay for that music. But I use a service called Epidemic Sound. Do you guys know about Epidemic Sound, or should I tell you about it? If you're doing a lot of these, this is a resource that's very, very good for you. Here is Epidemic Sound. Let me pull it up for you. Can you guys see Epidemic Sound? So Epidemic Sound is a place where you can get music that is royalty free. And what you can do with this is you can kind of go in and you can find, you go to click on music up here, and you can go in genres, or you can go in moods. A lot of my podcast intros are this. So we have a happy mood. And so we would download something. I think I just used a couple of these. And so we download this. Now what I'm doing is when I am doing a podcast, I'm going to lower this audio usually 15 to 20 decibels. And I lower the audio 15 to 20 decibels in my audio editor, so that it's really, really low. And then I put the audio, the read or spoken audio, over the top. Now you can get AI to do that. You can have a person do that. You can do your intros. You could literally do your own intros, but then we put them over the top, and then we edit the audio. If you guys want to hear, one of these, this particular podcast, this is just somebody that's spoken word over the top, just a friend. I'm not paying them; they're just doing it as a favor, and then we're just putting the music behind them, and that's that. If you don't want to pay somebody on Fiverr to go do this for you, there's a lot of people on Fiverr that do this for pretty cheap. But if you don't want to pay those folks to do that, you can obviously do your own. You can have a friend do it, but that's the idea. So all that said, I think we've got most of the questions answered. I don't think I missed anything. I think I got everything locked in. What I want you guys to be on the watch out for is this post. This post is going to be live, and here in a little bit, you'll walk you through kind of the core behind what we're doing here with the pod. This is from our last podcast that we did, but this will be replaced with this replay so that you guys can watch the replay there too. All of this stuff is at the Clipcast.ai blog. You can go check out all that stuff. That's our podcast, that we went through last week. After we get this one live, you'll see that one in line, and you'll see all this stuff here too. We're building this every week, so you guys have an excellent database that you go back and watch kind of what we're doing in different areas, and you can go rock it out. All right, you guys be good. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you next week. Have a great rest of the week. I'll talk to you soon.